One more meeting. Did that person join?
I'm waiting for another one, but welcome, Diane.
Okay.
Good morning.
Welcome. Good morning. So I'm sorry, Olivia, one more minute.
I have one more coming, I think. If we want to start introductions, I'm sure he'll be here by the time you get started.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can go ahead and jump right in. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here so early. I know it's early. I know we have families and busy work days, so I really appreciate the time. I'm hoping that this session isn't done in vain. I hope that you all get something out of it to take back to your colleagues. But yes, welcome. I'm Felicia Crabtree Haywood of Crabtree Consulting Group. That's a boutique fundraising and event management consulting firm. I do everything from strategic planning, fund development, board acquisition, and event management. I live at the intersection of several different worlds as I'm a fundraising professional. I am an event producer in both the corporate and nonprofit sectors. And I'm also very, very passionate about entrepreneurship. So I have several small businesses, whether that's real estate investment or a small juicing company. I'm really big on juicing. So yeah, but at the helm of it all, I am a fundraising professional. I have been working in fundraising for the last, I don't want to age myself, but probably for the last 17 years or so. I'm born and raised in Wichita. However, I went to college at Howard University in Washington, D.C., proud Howard alum, and got my first job in New York. So my first job moved me to New York. And I lived and worked in New York up until May of 2018, where I moved to Kansas City. We wanted to be closer to home, wanted to get closer to family and back in the Midwest. So we landed in Kansas City. So I've been here in Kansas City ever since doing my consulting work. So actually, let me go ahead and share my screen. But before I do that, I actually want to loosen us up a bit. I think it'll be helpful for me to know everyone that's in the room. So if we could just do brief introductions, you can state your name, your organization, what you do for the organization, and name one thing that you're passionate about. Again, we'll try to keep it as short and simple as possible, but it would really be helpful for me to get to know who's in here. And I'll start. You know my background, you know who I am, but I am most passionate about several things. I'm most passionate about family, faith, fitness, food, and philanthropy. I think all of that speaks for itself, but those are my passions. So I'm just going to select people that I see kind of here on the screen, and then we'll go from there. If I miss anyone, just jump in. Olivia, do you want to participate?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia. I am I'm the outgoing, I guess I'm outgoing in general, but I currently do the membership and the programming for the Kansas Nonprofit Chamber. You should be receiving some emails from me. So welcome. I am pretty passionate at 8 in the morning about coffee. And of course, nonprofit work. And then I do serve as a Vista, so I'm pretty passionate about my Vista work and the AmeriCorps in general. So thank you, Felicia.
Awesome. The next person that I see is Diane. You're up next.
All right, good morning, everyone. Diane Peltier. I'm here at Prairie View. I actually just started at Prairie View back in June, so I'm over advancement here. Okay. Felicia, you mentioned juicing, and I love juicing too, so yay.
We have lots to talk about offline.
I also love running, and I have a 4-year-old son. He's almost 5, and so family is also very important to me as well. So good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Diane. Next up is Danielle.
Hey everyone, I'm Danielle Ramirez. I work with Partners for Wichita, which is a nonprofit, and I am the program director for Safe Streets. And something I'm passionate about is whether this is like in my professional life or my personal life, is just witnessing people's growth and development. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm really passionate about that.
I love it. I love it. Next up is Sarah. I see several, at least 2 Sarahs, but this header is just Sarah. And you spoke to me the minute you got in. I can't recall. It's not Sarah Erickson. It's another Sarah. And I don't know the last name.
That's great, Felicia. Sarah Robinson, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
I am on a board member of the nonprofit chamber, so it's just good to see you all. And if anybody's not a member, we sure would like you to think about becoming a member. And my passion is, how do we impact drug endangered children? So I am interested in connecting non-for-profits to do that. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome. Good morning. Next up is Sarah Erickson.
Hi, I'm the financial director for the Sedgwick County Extension, K-State Research and Extension. And I am passionate about coffee, of course, first thing in the morning. And I'm also passionate about lifelong learning.
Okay. Great. Great. Thank you. Next, we have Bev Turner.
Good morning, everyone. I'm on the Coffee Express too. I am from the Children's Advocacy Center for Douglas County, and we're new. So we're the 17th Advocacy Center in Kansas, the great state of Kansas. And I am passionate about, well, I'm the executive director, but right now we're a staff of 2. So that means I'm an executive director, development director, finance, HR.
Admin, I get it.
Crisis call, you name it. I'll clean, I don't care. I'll do anything. So I am passionate about I've been in an advocacy center role for the last now like 15, 16 years. And so I'm very passionate about kids having a voice and educating kids on what is appropriate boundaries with adults that adults should have, and giving kids a safe place to feel that they can speak up when they're being hurt.
Okay, great. That sounds great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Next, I see Laura.
Good morning. My name is Laura Kermer, and I'm also at an advocacy center. I'm at Child Advocacy and Parenting Services in Salina, Kansas. So we call ourselves CAPS. I started in March. I am our community engagement coordinator. So that includes fundraising, donor relations, volunteer retention. And I'm passionate about a weird hobby. I study autonomous vehicle technology, and I'm passionate about transportation access to underserved communities.
Okay, cool, pretty cool. Next, I see Amy. Uh-oh, I think you're on mute, Amy. There you go.
I'm going to unmute myself. Good morning, everybody. I'm Amy Lash Esau. My business is Connecting Points Consulting, where I work with businesses who want to be strategic about their community engagement. Then I also work with nonprofits for grant writing and program evaluation, fractional leadership or interim leadership. I'm here this morning representing one of my clients, Teach Out of Poverty. I don't believe Sandy was able to get on. She's not feeling well this morning. And what I'm passionate about, I'm actually passionate about Rotary Club. If anybody is familiar with Rotary Club, you know it's a great organization. If not, it's a civic-minded organization, but it's like Scouts for adults, because we learn things and do fun things in the community and around the world.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I see next is Jen. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm Jen Rafter. I am the Development Specialist at the International Rescue Committee. We're a refugee resettlement organization. And I am passionate about community engagement and especially event planning and also professional growth.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Next, I see Jennifer.
Yes, good morning. I am the director for K-State Research and Extension in Sedgwick County. So I hang out with Sarah Erickson. And what I'm passionate about is, just, like Sarah said, lifelong learning. That's kind of our thing around here. And just continuous outreach and connecting and trying to figure out how we can partner with a variety of organizations throughout Sedgwick County and the state of Kansas.
Awesome. And then I think, no, I see a few more people that have joined in. Okay, great. I see Natalie. Natalie, welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I missed the instructions. I'm sorry that I had a little connectivity issue this morning.
That's okay. That's okay.
What we're passionate about?
Oh, so what you're doing is you're introducing who you are, your organization, what you do for your organization, and just one thing that you're passionate about.
Okay, so I'm Natalie Roth. I've been with the Down Syndrome Society of Wichita for 5 years, and I'm the executive director there. And I'm passionate about personally creativity. I think creativity is what spurs the next idea and innovation. And as with my organization, I think I'm most interested in just awareness and scaling our organization to be a little more recognized in our community and really reaching our potential as far as serving people in our community with Down syndrome.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. Welcome. It's really good to see you. Let's see, who do we have next? Ginger, it just says Ginger's iPhone.
Hi, I'm Ginger. I am in my car because my my 8th grade son forgot his binder, and so I had to go deliver it to his school. But I'm Ginger Lobdell. I'm with She Hopes. I'm the founder, and we help women and girls around the world through self-defense, job training, and keeping girls in school in India, Kenya, and Rwanda. So I am very passionate about women and girls' rights and family. Like I said, I have 3 teenage sons and my husband, and so yeah, that's what I'm passionate about. And I will just keep listening.
Okay, great. And then last up, I believe we have the lonely gentleman, one man here. It says that your name is Diane, but for some reason, I don't think that's your name, but welcome.
No, you're right. I understood this was a gender issue, so I signed in under my wife's login. So sorry, I'm late. I was having trouble getting on. Yeah, my name's Don Fast, and I'm with the Wichita Chamber Chorale, and I serve as chair of their vice finance committee, and I'm the past president of the organization. And so that's kind of what I'm passionate about, at least on for this particular event, I guess.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. Welcome. Did I miss anyone? If I missed anyone, please just holler, give us a quick holler. Otherwise, we're gonna go ahead and move on. Nope. Okay, perfect. So I'm about to share my screen and then we are going to get started here. Can you all see my screen? Yep. Okay. All right. So just a few housekeeping. I kind of designed this webinar to be fairly interactive. So please make sure you have your pen and paper. I'll be asking questions. You'll have a moment in between some of the different courses to kind of take action and put your thoughts to paper. So that's one thing. If you ever need to hop up and refill your coffee, tea, water, what have you, go to the restroom, that's fine too. Just no worries in turning off your camera or doing anything. This webinar, it's a ton of information and it's jam-packed. And so I'm going to come at you fast. It's a lot of information. I speak quickly. If I'm talking too fast, just put your finger up. I'm not offended, and just ask me to kind of roll that back. But overall, I designed this webinar to really focus around very simple yet effective strategies and tactics that organizations can use in their day-to-day as they tackle fundraising. So some of the information that you hear today, maybe you've heard previously or you've heard a variation, but really I'm wanting it to be a refresher so that you can really push forward in this end of year push for your organization. So we'll cover a few topics. I sent out a pre-webinar survey, and based on that, I kind of created this session today just to kind of cover what you all's pain points were. So a lot of people said that, you know they need to fundraise, but they don't really have a fundraising plan, a development plan. They don't really know where to start, or they have a plan, but it hasn't really been working. So hoping that, again, that you really can take some tangible information and action items and steps, to your organization to kind of help you push forward. So development plan, prospecting, how do you prospect? Who should be your point prospects? Supporter engagement, that's usually the fun stuff. That's how you cultivate the relationships. And then lastly, we're going to cover corporate sponsorships. I'm sorry, I have another thing that I need to say for housekeeping. I do keep my phone on me. I have an almost 3-year-old. He's at school. I am mom first. So if this phone goes off, I'll have to pause. So just if you see me with my phone, forgive me. But again, I do have a small child. So enough of that, moving on. Okay, so to the first few things, the basics, a development plan. Where do we start? What is comprised in this development plan? Initially, you need to understand the full scope, know your budget, then you create a process, and then you put it down on paper. You document the plan. So understanding the full scope, what does that mean? You got that, Olivia? Okay. Understanding the full scope. When creating your fundraising plan or your development plan, you first need to ask yourself, how much money do I need to raise? And this could be for your annual fund, your annual budget, or for a specific event. If you're planning a fundraiser, you first need to determine how much money you need to raise. Then you need to assess and determine what are your revenue streams. Do you have an annual fund? Do you send an annual appeal letter or an end of year appeal? Do you host annual fundraising events? Do you send out monthly newsletters? Where are you getting your funding? Where are you getting your funding? Assess where you're getting your funding. Then you need to know your budget. It costs money to raise money. You cannot create a fundraising plan without factoring in a budget, as fundraising itself is an expense, whether that's your marketing materials. Unless you're getting it pro bono, you might get it pro bono for a bit, but everybody's trying to get paid. So it might be your marketing materials. It also might just be stamps. It might be your database platform or your donor platform. Everything costs. So fundraising itself is an expense. You cannot raise money without spending money. And don't forget, you have your overhead, your program costs, again, your fundraising and your general support. So factor in your budget and ask yourself, how am I funding this? What are my revenue streams? Okay, after you determine the answers to those two questions, you create a process and you start from scratch. You evaluate your environment. What does that mean? What are the priorities of your organization? What are the capacities of your organization? And what are your resources? You can't start until you have effectively determined what's at stake here and what's the overall goal of my organization. From there, you take stock of your donor pool. Who's currently giving me money? And of those donors, are they giving annually? Are they giving monthly? Who's giving the largest amount? What does your donor pool look like? And if you're smaller and you don't really have a large donor pool, that's okay. But you need to think about, what do you want your donors to look like going forward? Do you want all of your funding to come from foundations? Do you want major gifts, corporate sponsors? Who is that? Take stock of your donor pool. And then from there, you outline your goal. Make sure that it's clear. And aside from the obvious, again, you have to really evaluate the capacity of your organization. Is the infrastructure secure enough to support each of those goals? Do you have what you need at hand when, outlining your goals? So think about that. Am I going too fast? Is everybody tracking? We're good. If I could just get a thumbs up just so I can see. Yep, we're good. Okay, moving forward. Identifying your objectives. So basically, you just break down your goals further. You break them down further. You ask yourself, what are the 5 things that I need to accomplish in order to achieve each of these goals? Those are your objectives. Break them down. And then from there, you identify your measurable and actionable tactics. So that's breaking down your objectives to the simplest, smallest form. That's your who, what, when, why, and how. That's your action. That's your action. That's what's going to push these goals forward. And then after that, you use your data to be specific. And that's basically doing the math. Look at who's in your current database, who's giving annually, what's your average gift? And if you've set your goal to make $50,000 over the next 5 years, you back that up and you do the math. You figure out, how many new donors do I need to get based on this average gift that I'm getting already? So using the data to be specific is basically doing the math. And then again, you identify the budget and the resources. How are you paying for this? How much is it going to cost? And then you assign responsibilities and deadlines. You basically map out the plan. Okay, so this is just an example, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to actually pause, put pen to paper, and you're going to do this on your own, just as a starting point. Just as a starting point, so that by the time we're finished with this and 4 weeks from now, you have some solid goals. So this is just an example. You want to create a solid fundraising infrastructure. So that's the goal. One objective of that goal could be, you need to build solid relationships and strong partnerships. Well, how am I going to do that? What am I supposed to do? So your tactic example could be, your development director needs to create a list of local philanthropic influencers that have give or get capacity by October 1st of 2021. So that tactic, that gives you, that's the action. That's what you need to do. That's your who, what, when, where, and how. We got it? Okay, so now I'm just gonna give you all, I'd say 10 minutes. I don't mind you turning off your camera during this part. You don't have to talk about it, but your pen and paper, I want you to write one goal, assess everything that we just spoke about, or everything that I just spoke about. Write one goal. I would say write 3 to 5 objectives if you can do that in this time, and then create your tactic, your actionable step. So one goal, 2 to 3 objectives, 3 to 5 is what I would do. And then your tactic. Just take a moment and just think through that. And you might already have some goals in mind, but they might need to be refreshed or rethought. So just use this opportunity. Like I said, I'll give you 10 minutes and then we'll reconvene. If you need to get water, tea, get up and go to the restroom, that's fine too. But use this time to put your pen to paper. Good morning to those that just joined. We are taking a moment to write down one goal, 3 to 5 objectives, and several tactics. Go back. We basically just covered the steps to creating a fundraising plan, a development plan. And so we're in the action step. And we'll probably be in this for another 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna give you all 2 more minutes. It's looking like some people are kind of wrapping up. So I'm gonna give you 2 more minutes and we're gonna move on. Okay, if you could turn your cameras back on once you've completed or once you're getting to a stopping point, that way I know that we can go ahead and move on. Otherwise, we'll, do this for another minute. And again, I apologize to those of you who have just joined us. We are just kind of completing our first step. You didn't miss much, but again, it was the beginning stages of creating a fundraising development plan. Okay. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and move on. I'm seeing it's a few people that still have their camera off, but maybe they're taking a restroom break. So are we feeling good? I just need a thumbs up. Like, are we good with our goal? Like, okay, perfect. So we got our first step. Good, good. That makes me feel good. Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, we're gonna move forward to prospecting. More butts and seats. How are you prospecting? And who are your MVPs? You always need to be thinking about your most valuable payers. who's writing the checks? So as you're prospecting, you need to keep in mind, who are your MVPs? Who's going to get it done? Either who's writing the check or who has resources and a Rolodex to where they can just open their phone and figure out who's going to write a check from their phone. It might not be that they have the money, but they have the influence. So that's important when thinking about prospecting. So there are many prospect types, many. I will just cover 3. These are the 3 that I have found the simplest and the easiest to kind of get to, and the most effective for me, in my opinion. So there's your board, there's peer nonprofits, and then there are friends of organizations or friends of your organization. So the first one is the board. I think, in my opinion, that your board is the most important prospect type. You should always start with those that are closest to your organization. As far as soliciting or reaching out to, I believe you should always start with those that are closest to your organization. And in many cases, that's your board. Board members should be the most committed to your organization's success. I'm going to say that again. Your board members should be the most committed to your organization's success. That's key. And if that is not the case, I'm getting on my soapbox, you should probably consider who's on your board and whose time is limited or who needs to be replaced, because that's really, really important. The board should essentially be the face of your organization. And that person needs to have capacity, whether it's, again, financial, or they need to be influential, and basically people are beholden to them and would like to support them and support the causes that they find important. So I believe, again, I'm still on my soapbox and people might disagree. I think every organization should require 100% board participation, 100% board giving. Standard. Again, if that board member is not necessarily writing the check, they might not have the capacity. Perhaps the organization that they work for, the company that they work for, is writing the check on their behalf. Or they have so much influence, again, they can open up their Rolodex and ask somebody else to write a check on their behalf. So 100% board giving. And it's also good to note that many grant applications require 100% board giving for you to even apply. So it's just something to note. And then when soliciting a board member, asking that board member to write a particular check or sponsor an event, be strategic. You know, like if you know that your board chair doesn't get along with your executive director, don't have the executive director solicit the board chair. You know, you do it. Have somebody else do it. So be strategic. Be strategic. And although the board is, I want to say, silent partners, and again, they should be the most committed to your organization's success, everybody wants to feel appreciated. So don't just look at them as just these workers. Say thank you. Make sure that they feel appreciated and really a part of your organization. Okay, so that's the board. Peer nonprofits. This is a big one for me too, because I feel like it can be an untapped market. I will say 50% of the work that I do for my current clients is me researching the annual reports of peer nonprofits. And just for an example, if I work for Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, if I'm a performing arts center, a peer nonprofit to me would be, and Alvin Ailey is based in New York, although they do have a location here in Kansas City. Needless to say, a peer organization to Alvin Ailey would be Kansas City Ballet, would be American Ballet Theater, would be Dance Theater of Harlem. That's just to name a few. Those are some peer organizations. So that's what I mean by peer organizations. So if I work for Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, I would pull the annual reports of my peer nonprofits and do a deep dive and a comparison to see, what corporation is supporting American Ballet Theater? Is that same corporation supporting Alvin Ailey? And if not, you need to ask yourself why. Is it simply because I haven't asked? I haven't sent them a proposal. And I think sometimes people think it's a bit unethical, and it's not. It's not. You can solicit the same corporations, the same foundations, the same government entities, the same individuals. It's not unethical. Like I said, I think it's an untapped market. So when you think of your peer organizations, you need to ask yourself, who's funding these organizations? Are these same entities funding my organization? And if not, why? I'd like to actually get our pen and paper out. This break won't be, or this moment won't be as long. But I do want you all to take this time, I would say maybe 5 minutes, to jot down some of your peer organizations. I'd say 5 to 10. And what you're going to do with that going forward, not today, but you're going to do a deep dive and research, again, those peer nonprofits' annual reports. You're going to look at their websites to see who their corporate sponsors are. You're going to see, if they have a supporters list on the website, and you're going to do a deep comparison. And I mean, go far and wide. If you're based in Wichita, which I believe most of you are, figure out who your peer nonprofits are in Kansas City. Who are your peer nonprofits in New York? Who are your peer nonprofits in Dallas? Think and search far and wide. I would suggest that. And again, over the next 4 weeks, you research those 5 to 10 peer nonprofits and do a comparison. Who's supporting them that's not supporting your organization? So, like I said, just take a few moments. I'd say 4 or 5 minutes just to jot that down. Okay, everyone, are we at a good place? Can we go ahead and move forward? You have your starting point, your list of peer nonprofits. Okay, let's move on to the last prospecting type. Okay, oops, sorry. Okay, friends of your organization. This one is super simple, and also very easy. Friends of your organization are basically those that self-identify. So that means someone that goes to your website and hits the subscribe button to your annual or monthly newsletter. Someone that walks up to you and gives you a business card that has their contact information after knowing that you work for such and such organization. Or someone, you might have a program or an event, you're hosting a program or an event, and you have a sign-in sheet, and those people give you their email address. Those are people that self-identify. They have yet to make a donation or a contribution, but you at least know that they are somewhat interested in your organization because they gave you their contact information. So it's super simple. When prospecting in general, you always need to keep in mind that donors want to give to organizations that have proven to do good with the monies received. So it's really important that in your branding, your website, your newsletters, it's really important that you're constantly keeping people updated, whether it's prospects or your current supporters, keeping them updated as to what you're doing and the impact that it has had. Because people, they want to give to people that or organizations that have proven to do good. And again, in that communication, just make sure that you're always reinforcing what it is that your organization does, i.e. the mission. You're always talking about the mission and why it's important. What's the impact? So after you have this list of prospects, or after you have, these names, your board that you might solicit for monies, or members of your peer nonprofit organizations, corporations that you might want to reach out to and solicit, or even individuals. Once you have all of, these names, these company names, you make a list. You make a list of them, and then you rank and prioritize that list. And it might be you're trying to determine who from this list gives annually to the organizations that they're already giving to. And then that might be your top priority, reaching out to those because you know that they're consistent givers. Or it might be, I want to know the major donors on this list. I want to know who's writing the big checks, then that might be how you prioritize. From there, you set a goal. Are you only wanting to increase your donor base by 5 people per year, or are you wanting to increase that by 5 people per month? What's your goal? Make sure you set your clear goal. And then you make a plan. How are you going to move your prospecting forward? What are your next steps? Are you going to get on LinkedIn and look at some of these corporations that are giving to these other organizations and see who that works at these companies? Or, see who that knows someone that works at these companies, and then, ask them to make an introduction. Like, what's your plan to move the prospecting forward? After you create that plan, you cultivate the relationship. And this is important in this order. You cultivate the relationship. You invite them to coffee. You invite them to a program that you're already hosting. You massage them a little bit. You cultivate the relationship, and then you solicit, and then you make the ask in that order. Don't solicit someone before you've cultivated the relationship. You cultivate, you solicit, and then you steward after they've written the check. Or it might not be money that you're asking from them. Maybe they're just volunteering that time. Whatever it is that they're giving to you, you steward that relationship. You thank them. You can't thank them enough. You thank them enough. You keep thanking them. You keep massaging that relationship. You build upon that relationship. and you rinse and repeat. This is an ongoing cycle. It's my belief that you should always be prospecting. I'm a member of 2 museums, one in New York and one here in Kansas City. And I stay on their solicitation list. I get all of their invitations, I get all of their programs. And mainly, I mean, I want to stay in the know. I want to be able to go and attend some of these things. But really, I just like the supporters list. I use the supporters list to see who's writing the checks. And are any of these corporations people or corporations that I should be reaching out to for my clients? Maybe, maybe not. But I tell you what, when I go to museums and I go to plays, I'm looking at the playbill to see who's writing the check. My husband gets so upset. He's like, are you even going to enjoy like the museum that we're walking in? Of course I'm going to enjoy it. But I do want to pick up all the brochures to see who's funding all of this stuff. So I say that to say prospecting is not a one-time thing. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. So that consistently needs to be on your mind. So I've done a lot of talking. Do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Are we going at a good speed? It seems like I just sent Olivia a chat. It seems like I'm going through this much quicker than I had anticipated, but are we good? Can I get a thumbs up? We're feeling okay as far as the timing and everything? Okay, perfect.
Alicia, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so one of the things that we struggle with as far as these things, these are really, really good points, is just having the small staff. Do you have any tips as far as being able to get these things done with a lot smaller organization that may not have the full development team that some of the others have?
Okay, so let's say this. So yes, I run into that a lot. And I was really going to kind of get into that only a little bit, but this is fine for corporate sponsorship. Okay. When I solicit, whether it be our board, volunteers, corporations, I'm not, granted, I like the money, right? We all want the money, but it's not always about money. Just how you said, you need actual bodies, like supporting you and doing the work. So I would say some corporations nowadays, I don't know, it's been a shift. What I've seen in the last 3 years, corporations really want to offer employee engagement opportunities to their employees. So they might not write a check for your gala, because typically, and I'll speak for me, I would reach out to a Bank of America and say, hey, I want you to support my gala. You support at the 50K level. That means you get 5 tables. Will you do that? Yeah, we want to come and, hang out. What I'm seeing now, Bank of America, and this is just an example, Bank of America now might say, no, we can no longer do that. We're no longer, writing checks for galas, because what we can do is offer, a volunteer. We can offer an employee engagement opportunity. So I can't give you the money, but I might be able to give you bodies. So when you're thinking of soliciting, don't just think about the money, instead, I need marketing help, or I need somebody to help me sit here and write these letters. Whether that's, again, I do believe you should rely on your board. But when you are just talking to random people or corporations or prospects, hey, can you, volunteer 3 hours on a Saturday to come help me strategize with this or something like that? So does that help? Does that answer your question?
Somewhat. Is there, I guess, if we had to prioritize, so that's good, so that, again, you're cultivating the relationship before you actually ever even make the ask for anything greater. But as far as these roles, so what I guess the challenge is with us is that we have a very small staff. And so a lot of times we find ourselves prioritizing pieces of this fundraising, pieces of this to try to say, okay, all this stuff is important, but which is most important right now? Are there any things that you say, of these things, these are a must do, like make sure out of all these things, this is what you have to do in order to be successful?
As far as boots on the ground, as far as getting your volunteers, or just in general?
just in general, when you think of a fundraising plan and all of the things that it takes to prospect, to create the list, to research, to go out and just meet them and say, hi, I don't not asking you for nothing today. I just want you to know who we are.
Right.
Those things, as far as those steps, are there anything?
I would say the most important thing is for now is creating awareness. Do they know, right? Do they know that your organization exists? So, and this, we'll get into cultivation in just a bit.
Okay.
But this is one thing that, if people aren't aware of what you're doing, like that's the main thing. Supporters or prospects, they want to get closer to the mission and what you all are doing. So if you are hosting anything that you're hosting, whether it's a walk, some type of program at your facility, or and I apologize, I don't know exactly what all your organization does, but anything that's free, like an existing something, invite a whole bunch of people to it. Invite that prospect list to it so that these people can see what you're actually doing and where their funds or their time will go. Does that make sense? So I think if you're smaller and you're trying to kind of get the word out and you want to build that donor base and you want to build the prospecting, I think with you right now, it's first to create awareness. Do you all have a social media page?
We do.
Okay.
And that's been kind of when I first came in, there was zero awareness. So that's been kind of my plight is, hey, people don't know we're out here before we actually can get to anything else. People just need to know who we are. So yes.
Okay. So I think that's good. Do you also, I said the social, do you do a newsletter, like an annual or a monthly newsletter? Like what are you doing that's, I guess, free, or what's considered to be free?
Yeah, we do some regular newsletters, and we've kind of upped that a lot just because of the touch. Again, that's one of the things is when we get donors and when you get people in that are really interested in it, they may fall off because there's no follow-up. It's like, oh yeah, I really want to hear more about this. And then it's like, I haven't heard from y'all in like 3 months. Are y'all existing? Are you doing programs? What are you doing with the money we gave you? So we're working on that whole process as a process to make that more solidified in how we go about informing our donors and supporters and volunteers.
Perfect. And staying on top of them. Really, Natalie, it sounds like you just need, do you have interns? It sounds like you need just some people to really kind of step up and really help, because you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. So here's the thing. I'm going to open up the floor because those are my responses. That's what I think. Does anybody have any other suggestions for Natalie? What have you done previously that has worked, starting with a small staff? Anybody? Okay, no. Okay. I hope that helps, Natalie, as much as it can. Okay. All right. So
one more question.
Oh, we do? Okay.
No, yep, just one real quick here. How long should one cultivate before sending a letter?
Not long. I know that sounds awful. I'm sorry. You listen, everyone knows if you work for a nonprofit, we need to keep the nonprofit afloat. I think if you've met this person for coffee, you can send a letter 2 days after that. If you've had, and make sure that you've had some substance to the conversation. And they're well aware of your mission. They're well aware of your impact. And then, send the letter, write the check. So, that's in my experience. Any more? Thank you for that, Olivia, because I'm having a hard time, moderating and presenting. Any other?
No worries. No, I think we're good.
Okay, perfect. So I had you all make the list of your peer nonprofits that over the next 4 weeks, y'all, please don't make this session be in vain. Like if we're talking about this stuff and we have these ideas, don't sit on what we're doing here. So if we have a list of 5 to 10 peer nonprofits that you're going to research, do it over the next 4 weeks and just start creating some material. So I say that to say, we talked about making a plan. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes just to quickly jot down what are your next steps in following up with or reaching out to the peer nonprofits that we that you just made a list of. Or it could be, since we also talked about board, are there some board members that you or your executive director need to have a talk with to make sure that they're in line with either the 100% participation, or if they're in line to write a check, or, you know, their influence. So just take a moment. We talked about board, peer nonprofits, and then friends of organization. How are you going to move your prospecting forward? What are some thoughts? So just literally maybe 2 minutes, and then we're moving on. I'm looking in the chat to see. Oh, Natalie. Oh, you did respond. Okay, sorry. I was gonna make sure you saw what was in the chat. Okay, we can start to move on. Yeah, we're zooming through this. I hope this is okay. At least you'll have some extra time added to your schedule today, maybe some extra free time afterwards. I hope that this is working for everyone. So we did that. Okay, moving on to supporter engagement. This is the fun stuff. This is events and cultivation, and you know, it's the fun stuff. It's how you're able to get to the point where you can make an ask and solicit. So, cultivation. I mentioned this a little bit before. The best donor and prospect cultivation is connecting your supporters closer to your organization and its mission. It's really important to connect supporters to the mission of your organization. That needs to be constant and just on your mind at all times. So, there's non-event cultivation and there's event cultivation. Some examples of non-event cultivation is direct cultivation, i.e. taking someone to coffee. It is also, it can be, you know, inviting someone to a program or inviting them to your facilities to see what it is that you do. That's direct cultivation in their face. There's also obviously email communication, and then newsletters, weekly, monthly newsletters. That's cultivation. You're basically, again, connecting the supporter to the mission. You're getting your mission awareness to the masses. Okay, here's a few
Alicia, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Just when you're talking about, since obviously some of us are pretty new organizations. Do you have any recommendations on getting like the email list going? Like I think about if I sent to everybody I have, that would be like 50 people. So
Okay.
do you have any suggestions on kind of how to improve that?
Yeah, I would suggest, okay, finding out, I mean, you know your mission. You might have to do a little bit of a deeper dig as far as I use LinkedIn and Facebook for like everything. So if there's a particular corporation that's mission aligns with your mission, that might be, you know, if you can get on LinkedIn, get their email address and just add them to your list. Just add them to your subscription list or your subscribers list. And then when you do that, they'll get all of your newsletters, any of your email communication. If they don't want to receive it, they'll opt out. But in the beginning, I would just kind of like a sneak attack, do some research to see who might be interested in supporting, get that contact information off of, again, either their Facebook page, their LinkedIn page, and just add them. I mean, it doesn't hurt, you know, and granted, that's a bigger lift. I know that you said that it's you doing everything. So it might take some time, you know, it might take some time to really do the research and gather the information, but that would kind of be my go-to. And then once people start, I don't know if in Wichita, if right now people are like having live events or inviting people to, you know, their offices and having programs. Of course, when you have an event or a program that you invite people to, you make sure you know, get all of that contact information. Does that help? Does anybody else have a suggestion that they might want to provide or give? Okay, I hope that helped, Bev. Okay, so again, a few non-event cultivation ideas. This is probably my favorite slide because this is important. This is really, really, really important. I would suggest, this is stuff that I do all the time. Each week, call 5 donors, simply thanking them for their support. That's it. You're not asking them for anything, nothing. Hey, I just wanted to call you and let you know that we really appreciate your support. We did X amount with the money that you gave us, or we did this with the time that you volunteered. Just call 5 donors each week and thank them. That's it. It goes a long way. It really, really goes a long way. Also, each week, send a handwritten thank you note to 5 other donors, not the same donors, 5 other donors. I'm old school. I like receiving things in the mail. I like a nice handwritten note. And again, I think just the gesture, I think it's classic. And it's just a really good way to make sure that your donors feel appreciated. Also, this is a big one. So this slide here says send birthday cards to your board members and top supporters. And that's great. You should do that. Board members, top supporters. But I also think you should go a step further and pick random donors. Random. It doesn't have to be your top supporters. Or taking it a step further, pick 5 of your lapsed members. Members that used to, members, donors, supporters, sorry. 5 of your lapsed donors. Someone that hasn't given in the last 5 years. Do you know if you sent them a birthday card, what that would do to them? Like, I haven't given to this organization in 5+ years and I'm still on their mind, no less on my birthday. To me, like, that's huge. That's a way to kind of pull them back in. Like, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. You know, we're just wanting to say happy birthday. I bet you that person will come back as a supporter. So take a minute, think about, literally a minute, think about 5 donors that you can call or send a thank you note to. And actually, before you take a moment and you write your list of people that you can thank and send birthday cards to, these are my ideas. These are things that I think work for me. what have you all done recently, or maybe not recently? Well, maybe recently, since COVID kind of threw us off for a loop. What have you done that's been a non-event cultivation, something that has worked for you all? What kind of outreach? Any outreach?
I'll go.
Awesome.
I'm newish to CAPS. I started in March, but in my time being there, we have like had our board members hand deliver treats to our top donors. So we've taken chocolates to their doorstep. And employees will do it as well, but we often have very busy schedules, so our board members take that on, and that was a huge success. I mean, we got people who upped their annual giving to us because they just felt that that was just amazing that they got these treats handed to them at their door just for, just as a thank you. So that was something that we took that was really successful, and it was just in relation to their annual, thanks for being a top supporter. We love that.
I love that idea. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. That's a good one. Yeah, for a smaller organization, you have, maybe a smaller budget. You ask your board members to, you lean on those board members. I think that's what they're there for, to support and, help you all out. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Natalie, something that I thought about when we were speaking, you said sometimes I'll get a donation and then they won't hear from us for 3 months or something like that. What about creating a welcome kit or something, just basically sending some marketing materials to people that give you donations, just so that they can stay at the top of your mind and you can stay at the top of their mind. Thank you for this donation. Here's here's what we've done in the last year. Here's, where money has gone in the last year. Here's what we plan to use money for going forward. Just something to say, thank you for your gift. Here's what we're doing. Okay, so take a minute, just a minute, and write down 5 donors that you're gonna call over the next week. By Friday.
I like that idea, Felicia. I was writing. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. No, great. Good. Okay. Who are you sending birthday cards to? Who are some lapsed members that you need to get back in the fold? Okay, is everyone good? Do we need to take a 5-minute break to give people a minute to re-up on their coffee or go to the restroom? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Take a break or keep moving. Take a break, take a little bit of a break. Okay, so let's reconvene at 9:23. It's 9:18 now. Is that cool? Perfect. Go ahead. And I think I'm going to as well. Okay. Okay, are we ready to get back to it? Do me a favor and turn your camera on when you get back so I know we can go ahead and move on.
Felicia, we did have one question
Okay.
in the chat. Just in your personal opinion, do you think you should ask parents and or clients for donor ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely collaborate. You honestly should be asking other organizations for what they are doing that's working as well. So for sure, ask parents, clients, other organizations, see what's working. And then yeah, parents and clients, I'm sure they have ideas, you know, especially the clients. I think they would that's a really good resource. So yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So we talked about some non-event cultivation ideas. We're gonna move on to event. When planning or thinking about having a particular event, you need to ask yourself 5 questions. The first one, what are you already doing with clients that would be meaningful for your donors to see? Again, I'm bringing you all back to making sure supporters are connecting with your mission. So again, what are you already doing with clients? Is that a walk? Is that some sort of program? Is that, I don't know. Whatever you're doing with your clients on a day-to-day. So for example, well, no, I'll give that example later. Whatever you're doing on your day-to-day that involve clients, maybe you should invite some donors. Another question, what high value VIP volunteer opportunities can you create to allow donors to feel a part of your mission in a fun and engaging way? What's a VIP volunteer opportunity? I can tell you what is not a VIP volunteer opportunity. Having your VIP volunteers sit at the check-in desk and register people that's entering and walking into your event. Now that is needed. That is a volunteer duty or responsibility. It should be, but that is not VIP. You have to go above and beyond. Maybe it's something like, this is just an example. I don't know, maybe you have a celebrity that's doing something at one of your programs or your events. Maybe the VIP volunteer opportunity is being the escort to this particular celebrity. That way, they get to experience this celebrity, but also at your event, and they're seeing the mission, they're seeing the work that you all are doing, but it's a VIP experience because I'm escorting the celebrity. That's just an example, but get creative. So those are 2 questions. Your third question is, who is your audience at this particular event? Is it major donors, mid-level donors, prospects, board members, media, stakeholders? You want to create the event based on your audience. Who are you inviting? You also obviously want to figure out your event concept and event plan start to finish. That is a given. You absolutely need to have the goal, a concept, and a plan in place, start to finish. And this is my favorite question, number 5. What is your follow-up plan for everyone who attended? That's a missed opportunity. Oftentimes people will create these lavish, extravagant, events. They put all of their time and energy in making it perfect, inviting the perfect prospects. And, it's just done to a T, executed to a T. And then at the end of the night, it's over. And like literally it's over. The next day, there's no follow-up, there's no plan in place. Like if you had the perfect audience, like what's the follow-up plan? You produce this event. It was well executed. One of your clients was the speaker. They shared an impact moment, and there was not a dry eye in the facility. And that's great. That's a really, really good event. But it's done in vain if there's no follow-up. When, what's next? Are you having some of these stakeholders meet for coffee so that you can ask them to up their giving at the next event, or up their giving, next year? Whatever it is, you need to make sure you have a follow-up plan to capture all of that information, all of that excitement, and take it to the next level. So make sure you have a follow-up plan post-event. So here are a few of my favorite event cultivation ideas, simply because this is low energy, low cost, effective. One would be a pre or post reception for an existing program. So an example would be if I work, for Alvin Ailey, and Alvin Ailey has a school, a dance school. So the dancers have to have rehearsal every day. They're already doing that. So why not invite some VIPs or some prospects or some of your board members or whoever that you're trying to get closer to the mission? Why not invite them to a rehearsal, but tack on a pre or a post reception to whatever's happening? So again, the dancers already have to rehearse. Now you create this little exclusive event, mini event for some of your stakeholders. And it's cost effective because you might just have a few bottles of wine, like you only invited 25 people. You might have a few bottles of wine that might have been donated, or just some cheap wine. Really, they just want to see what the dancers are doing, and then have some cocktails, with some of their friends. But obviously, you would use that opportunity to cultivate and talk to them. Here's what we're doing. Here's what your money's going. All of that. So I love a pre or post reception for an existing program. Cheap, short, sweet. I also love a breakfast event. I love breakfast events because typically they're at the top of the morning before people have to go to work, which means it can't be longer than an hour program. Breakfast is also cheap. You have your fruit, your croissants, maybe some eggs, orange juice, tea, coffee. You're not spending money on alcohol. So automatically breakfast, to me, I see dollar signs, like it's cost effective. You get a client to speak. So you have your impact moment. You might raise some money while you're there. You host this event, you cultivate, and it's over. Then people go to work. Short and sweet. When hosting a virtual event, as I know it's starting to open up now, but people are still doing virtual and hybrid events. If you want to create something special for a certain type of donor or a certain, I don't know, if your major donors or your board members or whatever, if you want to make them feel special and secluded or VIP, you can always use breakout rooms. And if I recently did a virtual gala, and we still had table host and table buyers. And so the table host hosted a breakout room with all of their guests, all of their invited guests. And they loved it. They loved it. It was all these different breakout rooms, and the clients would kind of peek their head in different breakout rooms. So that way everyone felt like included, but still kind of hosting their own thing. And, so always think about breakout rooms. Questions or feedback. We have questions, feedback, things that have worked in the past for you all. Is this good? We're tracking. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I know. Okay, so we're good. Any input, feedback? Anybody want to share? Okay. We'll keep.
So I just want to say I really like the pre or post reception idea, or reception for the existing program, because that's kind of a no-brainer that apparently I didn't think about. You already have people there, so it's just extending your venue rental for a half hour, and maybe if there's a speaker, it's like a special time with the speaker for special questions, something like that. That to me, really, that's great.
Perfect. That's good to hear. Yeah, no, it can be a missed opportunity. So definitely it's really good and it's cost effective. So that's why I like it. Okay, moving on. This is just a basic plan for mapping out an event. You alert the board, make sure you get their buy-in, you choose a date, create a budget, set a goal, pick your venue, prepare the solicitation materials, you promote it, and then you process the RSVPs. Make sure you make that goal super clear. Don't forget your follow-up plan. Figure out what the goal is and include that follow-up plan. And also think about, if you're a smaller nonprofit or a newer nonprofit, think about collaborating with another organization that might have more resources or better resources so that you can effectively execute an event. It's no harm in asking for help. And again, partnership. It would have to be some type of a give get, but I have found that some smaller nonprofits are like, well, I want to do this, but our technology isn't good. So it's like, well, then let's go down the street and ask these people, this other organization or corporation, if they would like to partner with you. And then that way you get the better technology, the better resources. So don't shy away from partnering. Okay, moving on to corporate sponsorships. Show me the money. And if you're looking at these people running, it's like, well, why did she pick that photo with corporate sponsorship? So I am an avid runner and have run several marathons, and there's always a corporate sponsor for the marathons. And I mean like $1 million type sponsorship, because corporations want the visibility. They want the visibility. So I say that to say, that's why don't think I'm weird like with this photo. It's because when I see a photo like this, I think of corporate sponsorship, because I know whoever sponsored this race has a lot of money. So, okay. Corporate revenue strategies. When thinking about corporate revenue strategies, here are some questions that you need to ask yourself. What do corporate sponsors want? You also need to ask, what does your organization offer? After you've answered those questions, you create a pitch, a meaningful pitch, a pitch that matters. So, what do sponsors want? Sponsors want an opportunity to position themselves in front of the right demographic while also supporting a cause that is in alignment with their mission. They want something from the deal. Yeah, they don't mind like supporting an organization, but they want something in return. So you always have to keep that in mind. So alignment. Well, alignment for every corporation and organization will be different. These are just some examples. It could be they want marketing to a niche group of people. They might want an opportunity to build relationships with your attendees or supporters, donors, whatever have you. They might want to provide an opportunity for employee engagement, giving and serving with your organization. So Natalie, this is what I was talking about. They might not write a check, but they do need to have employee engagement. So they might let their marketing manager take half a day and sit with you and work on your marketing materials. Or they might want your organization to build their corporation into your event marketing plan, i.e. they want their name, their company logo plastered all over your invitations, your websites, your marketing materials, all of that. Social media, they want to be included in your event marketing plan. Okay, so then you say, after you've determined and asked yourself, what do they want? And I kind of know what they want. You then say, well, what can I offer? You start creating offers that support the corporate sponsor's needs before your own. You have to think about what they want first. And you also have to have a mindset shift. We're no longer asking for money. We are instead creating an opportunity for you to accomplish your mission. That's what you're saying to the corporation. I'm not asking you for money. I mean, we are, but what you're asking for is partnership. I scratch your back, you scratch my back. You can have access to my donor base and everybody that's supporting me, which is what you want. And yeah, you get that in return. You get FaceTime with those people. And you also get your logo plastered all everywhere. So yeah, it's a mindset shift. Okay, so after you determine that, you have to create a meaningful pitch or sponsorship proposal, sponsorship deck. First, you get a response. Then you set up a call. So you send an email or you meet somebody randomly, you set up a call. Do not send them a sponsorship packet until you've had a conversation with them. And I'll get to that in a minute, but it's super important that you follow these steps. First, get a response, then set up a call. Then once you're on the phone or in person, whatever have you, ask questions. Anything you can think of, anything that you can think of, ask. And then you actually create the sponsorship deck. So you want to invoke a response. You want to send them an email, or like I said, you randomly met someone and then you want them to be engaged, and then you set up a phone call so that you can ask a whole bunch of questions. So this is an example of an email. Hi, I have an upcoming event and I think we share similar demographic. Can I give you a call to discuss your goals? That's what you're saying to this corporation, not how can you help me? How can I help you? We tracking? Am I going too fast? We're good? Any questions? Okay. So now that you have them on the telephone, you just fire off, you fire away, you ask a ton of questions. What is their goal? How much money do they have? How much money do they have to spend? What is their target demographic? You say, tell me about a successful time you sponsored an event. What does your perfect sponsorship look like? What are your top 3 goals in sponsoring an event? And mind you, I'm saying event, you might just need an overall sponsor. It might not be for a specific event. You might just need some extra funding. You need a partner. So I'm saying event, you can just say, I need you to sponsor something, a program, or my company, my organization. So you ask them these questions when you're on the telephone, and then you actually create a packet, a custom packet. This is why you don't ever want to send a sponsorship packet or deck to a company before speaking to them and creating this specific packet custom to them. Literally, it'll go in the trash can. You want to create it specifically to them, identifying how you can achieve their top 3 goals. That's the overarching goal here. What can you do for them? Create the perfect scenario for them to say yes. You basically have this phone call, you ask them all these questions, you offer them basically everything that it is that they need. You create something around what they need. I don't know why they would say no, you know? So after you send them this packet, you constantly and creatively follow up until you receive a yes or a no. If you don't receive a response, that's not a response. You want them to tell you yes or no. If you haven't received a no, in my mind, it's a yes. It just hasn't come yet. Okay, we're gonna take a few moments and I just want you to jot down 3 corporations that would be ideal sponsors for your organization. Or you might not know if they're ideal sponsors yet because you haven't done any research. Just 3 corporations that you would like to work with. And then in your own time afterwards, over the next 4 weeks, you start to research and see what makes most sense. What's their mission? Is it in alignment with ours? Who do I know that works at this organization? Or get back on LinkedIn and see who's connected to who and who can make an introduction between you and someone that works in the corporate social responsibility department or a decision maker of some type. And, follow the money, dream big. It doesn't have to be just corporations in Wichita. What's in Kansas City? What's in Dallas? What's in New York? I'll just give you a couple more minutes and then we're gonna start to wrap up. This was crazy fast.
Alicia, what did you say in the next 4 weeks you'd like us to do?
So several things. So, okay, let me go back. Definitely, there was a list of the 5 to 10 peer nonprofits. Definitely.
No, I meant just this last one after we do our 3 corporations.
Sorry. You want to find out, you want to do a deep dive on the 3 corporations. You want to see if your mission aligns with theirs. You want to see if you know anyone that works at this organization. So get on LinkedIn and see if you know anyone that works at said company. And if you don't, maybe you're connected to someone who does work there or knows someone that works there. Yeah. So just try to make a connection so that you can really get face to face or at least over the phone with a decision maker, someone that can essentially pull the trigger on supporting an event or just your organization in general.
Alicia, I'd love to include those, that everything you said about the 4 weeks in the follow-up email. So I got the first one about the 5 to 10 peer nonprofits. Was there a middle one as well?
Yeah, so it was that. I'm trying to think, it might have been, so we first did the goals, the objectives, and the tactics. We did that. And mind you, that was just one goal. I'm sure you have 5 goals at least. But that was just one. So of course, if you need to build on the goals, objectives, and tactics of your fundraising plan, move forward with that as well, build upon that. So that could be 1. 2, we talked about the peer nonprofits, doing that research, correct, Olivia? You said you had that, right?
Yeah.
And then 3, jot down 5 to 10 people, 5 to 10 donors that you want to either call and thank them, send a handwritten note thanking them, or a birthday card, like a lapsed member or even a board member or whoever, send birthday cards and get that list together. So that was that. And then this last one was doing the research on some ideal corporate sponsors. Okay.
I did have one question, Felicia. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I was just curious while you were talking, your opinion on social media and all of this in donor cultivation and events and those kind of things.
So I'll say this first. I'll say you all know your donors better than I do, right? So if your donors are old, seasoned and not on social media, then don't waste your money and time on social media. If you know your donors aren't going to see that content, but if you have millennial donors or, the next ones, I guess I don't know what the next group is, but if you have, a very young demographic, then yeah, social media is good. I was one of the people that was so anti-social media, just with my own personal life, just anti. I didn't want anything to do with it. But then when I created my business, everyone's like, you have to do a social media. And I'm like, I have a website. If someone wants to contact me, I have a website. But getting on social media and just, for nonprofits, pushing out your mission, keeping your awareness at the top of people's brain is really important, especially if you have a younger demographic. The younger demographic, they're not going to the website. They're going on social media to see what you're talking about. So yeah, but like I said, you know your demographic better than I do. If you have seasoned donors, I wouldn't waste my time because they're not on social media. Most, generally speaking. Okay, so this slide is just some helpful resources that I find helpful. Most on here are online magazine type platforms. So you can subscribe or go to their websites and just kind of see what they're talking about. Donor Perfect and Wealth Engine are really good for prospecting. So they have different information as to who gives annually to what organizations and how much they're giving. So they cost, but I think pending, once you're able to, it might be something worth investing in. But yeah, this is a really helpful resources that I've found. And yeah, that's kind of it. I'm hoping that based off today, you have a starting point or a refresher as to, again, some tangible tactics and strategies that are super simple, yet very effective, when used correctly. So I feel like we have a starting point, and y'all just gotta take some action over the next 4 weeks, and hopefully, again, that will push you through the end of the year for your final, fundraising push or end of year appeal, or it'll jumpstart, next year. So ultimately, that's that. If you want to keep in touch with me, I would love it. This is my email, my website, my phone number. I am also at Crabtree Consulting Group on both Facebook and Instagram. And I usually share just general fundraising tips a few times a week. So, inspiration and fundraising tips and statistics. So you can check me out on social media as well. I am going to be sending, in addition to what Olivia is sending, right after this course, I'm actually going to send a survey link to everyone that attended. Your honest feedback is truly, truly appreciated. And that's it. Do we have any questions? Any questions or comments? Anything that I didn't cover? Or are we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay.
I just want to say thank you. All of this is so helpful. I had so many light bulb moments. Why didn't I think of some of these things? Thank you so much for putting this together. This is gold.
Of course, of course. Thank you. It's really good to hear that. Yeah, I want to be a resource. I want to help. That's what I'm here for. So I really appreciate the time. It was early, and again, now you have a couple hours, you have a couple more hours in your day. So hopefully, go have some coffee, but also get to work on all of these things that we did here today. And that's it. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah. Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you.
And thank you,
course.
everyone. Before everyone goes, I'm just going to launch a quick poll here that we do for all of our presenters so that, we can gain feedback and provide appropriate events for you all. So here we go. And I'll also include Felicia's contact information in the follow-up email as well, so everyone can make sure we have that. All right then, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And thank you again, Felicia.
Of
It was great to
course.
see you again.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Good day. Have a good day.
Oh, Felicia.
Yes, yes. I'm here because I'm looking at the comment or
Okay.
the chat.
I did talk to Cindy. I just have to put together our end of programming information, send that to her, and she'll write a check to you.
Awesome.
So hopefully she'll have that. I'll definitely have that done by today, and she can have that done by tomorrow. So
great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Could I also could I get the poll? Can I get
Absolutely.
those results?
Yep, absolutely. Yes. I have a bit to do today, but I'll definitely get them to you by tomorrow. I'll put that on my list right now.
Okay, so the poll you'll get to me, and will you get to me the recording?
Yep, I will get that to you. Where's my? Oh yes, okay.
Perfect. Sorry, I couldn't really look at all the chats because I was presenting. I just want to make sure I got everything.